So today I thought I'd do a review of one of my new favourite books, and it's called Alice. Here it is. When I saw this in Waterstones, I actually read the full title, which is Beware the Claws That Catch Alice. Well, I thought it was. It said that on the front, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. Turns out it's just called Alice, and I was very much misled. But it's actually a really good book. I'm very glad I got it. It has a sequel, however I don't think I'm interested enough in the story to read the sequel. I really like this as a standalone book, and I don't know, personal preference I would say as to if you want to read on, but I found it really nice as a standalone book and don't think I'd want to continue the story. I liked where it finished, so I don't think I'll be getting the second one, but this one is really good. So it follows the Alice in Wonderland story, but it's very different. So you have this setting of an old town and a new town, and the new town's very much the fancy people, they're very safe, and then the old town's full of like all the drunk people, all the brothels, etc. And Alice somehow ended up in the old town at some point, and she's now in kind of like a mental hospital sort of place. It's more like a prison that her family, who all live in the new town, have put her in because she has a massive scar on her face that is, she thinks, it turns out, is due to the rabbit, and they don't know what it's from. She was just found in the old town with a massive wound, bleeding, and they put her in there because she can't go back to the new town. She's now got this scar, they'll know what happened, so they put her in there to sort of trap her. And it starts out with her in there, and she meets this guy called Hatcher, and they decide to break out because Alice can hear the Jabberwocky, which is in the basement, and she knows that he's trying to escape. So she's like, I'm going to beat him to it, I'm going to leave. And the book really talks about their adventures through the old town. They start off just wanting to escape, and then Alice decides she wants to meet the rabbit. She wants to find out what happened and why she's got this scar on her face. And Hatcher's sort of got like a background story with some of the characters, but you discover that as the book goes on. It's not straight away he's like, oh yeah, I need to find da da da. So that's really interesting. And they go through the old city, and there used to be magic in the city, but that's died out. All the magicians are gone. It's just left with mainly, I don't want to say evil characters, but you've got like the walrus, who is well known for eating people. You have the caterpillar, who they basically all own parts of town, and as they move through the parts of town they have to deal with the bosses of that part. So that's really interesting because if you've read the Alice in Wonderland books, it relates very well. You have like the caterpillar, the rabbit, the walrus, I think that's from Through the Looking Glass. I haven't read that in a while. And who else is there? You have the, not Mad Hatter, I've forgotten the name. Brain block. But yeah, you have loads of characters from the book, and these are the bosses, and it starts out with them trying to be very inconspicuous. They're hiding, Alice pretends to be a boy, and they're just trying to survive is the main key. And then as the story goes on, Alice realises that she's interacted with a lot of these people and she needs to help them, because obviously there's a lot of these brothels with young girls and things like that. So she decides she needs to help them, and they sort of set off on a mission. And it's really interesting to see that character, because obviously in the books Alice, she's quite strong, but in this one she's very good with a weapon, with a blade. Some of it is quite gruesome, so like her gutting people and things like that you wouldn't automatically think of when you think of Alice in Wonderland, which I found really interesting. It's a very different interpretation considering there have been hundreds of different interpretations. I found this one quite refreshing, and her and Hatcher have a really interesting friendship. I want to say it's like a friendship relationship kind of thing. It's never really put into much detail, they focus more on the story, but there is kind of something there, but without it being like, oh, they're travelling together, they have to fall in love, blah blah blah. Yeah, but I really like the book. I have to say that if you're going to read it, if you don't like scenes of, I think there's rape in here, there's a lot of, obviously got the brothels with the dancing girls and things like that, so, and a lot of it is very disgusting in the way they kill people, the way they attack people, the people attack them. You have the walrus and flesh eating and things like that. So very much, if that's not your thing, do not read the book. A lot of people on their reviews have put things like trigger warnings because you don't know what will set you off, and it is very detailed and quite graphic. However, if that is your thing, you will really enjoy it. Personally it's not, but I really like the story, and I want to say it wasn't excessive, it was to do with the story, and after a while you sort of got used to it, and that wouldn't trigger me. But I know for some people it does, so just be careful, especially if you know something's going to trigger you, then just be careful, because it is quite a graphic book. But overall it's really good, the characters are great, the storyline's really good. Like I said, I'm not sure about the second part, because I found this a very standalone story. In the second part they introduced the Red Queen, so I don't know, I might check it out. I'm not really like, oh, I really have to check it out. I really like the story, I read it a little while ago, and yeah, to me it just is quite standalone. It's quite final. Well, it's not final, but it is at the end, so for me that worked quite well, and I was happy with the ending, so I was like, let me just leave it there. But if you do decide to check it out, let me know what you think, because there have been very mixed reviews. Some people said it's too graphic and it's not very true to the original Alice story, whereas other people really like the new interpretation and the idea that Alice in Wonderland can be darker and signify something else, not just a child in a fantasy land. But if you read it, let me know in the comments, and if you want any more reviews, let me know.